Hello, third grade. I am so excited to read another book with you. I have actually never read this book, so this is going to be brand new for me too. But we are going to be reading a book from the Adventures of the Bailey School Kids series, and this one is called Cupid Doesn't Flip Hamburgers. And I'm excited about this one. I hope that you enjoy it too, because we have another book like this around St. Patrick's Day. And so we are going to finish this book this week, which means we are going to be doing multiple chapters each day. So if you want to listen to chapter 1 and then pause the video and answer the chapter 1 questions and then come back for chapter 2, that is fine. Or you can listen to the whole thing and answer all of the questions at the end. It's up to you. All right, let's get started with chapter 1. Chapter 1 is titled St. Valentine's Day. Pink lace and frills? This is girl stuff, Eddie complained, crumpling the paper valentine he was making into a wad. He glanced around the classroom to make sure his teacher, Mrs. Jeepers, wasn't watching. After all, most kids thought she was a vampire and didn't dare do anything to make her green eyes flash. Luckily for Eddie, Mrs. Jeepers was busy at the door talking to Principal Davis. Eddie eyed his target. A head full of bouncy yellow curls was just 3 seats away. With careful aim, he let his ruined valentine soar across the aisle. Smack! It landed right in the middle of Carrie's blonde head. Bingo, Eddie mouthed when Carrie twisted to give him a mean look. I bet you won't get a single Valentine, Carrie blurted out. Unfortunately, she was so mad she forgot to whisper. The class gasped when Mrs. Jeepers slowly turned around and flashed her eyes at Carrie. I am surprised to hear such a terrible insult, Mrs. Jeepers said in her strange accent. But Eddie threw, Carrie started to say. Enough, Mrs. Jeepers interrupted and rubbed her green brooch. Valentine's Day is a time to show people we appreciate them. You must apologize for being rude. Carrie's face turned bright red. But apologize, Mrs. Jeepers insisted. Here's a picture. The rest of the class watched as Carrie faced Eddie. I'm sorry, she muttered through clenched teeth. Then she turned around and stared at the half-made valentine on her own desk. Eddie smiled his sweetest smile until Mrs. Jeepers went back to talking with Principal Davis. Then he giggled as he pulled the eraser off his pencil and flicked it. Carrie flinched when the eraser popped her on the back, but she wasn't about to turn around and get in trouble again, and Eddie knew it. Melody sat behind Eddie. You better stop it, she warned, before Mrs. Jeepers catches you. But Eddie was having too much fun. As long as Mrs. Jeepers was busy, he was going to keep it up. He was just about to send a broken crayon hurtling toward Carrie when Mrs. Jeepers looked at the class and cleared her throat. Eddie quickly sat up straight and smiled sweetly. It is time for us to go to the cafeteria, Mrs. Jeepers said. Then she smiled an odd little half smile. Today, we will meet our new cook, Mrs. Rosenblum. Ugh, half the class groaned, but Lisa raised her hand. Maybe we should give Mrs. Rosenblum a Valentine too. What a wonderful idea, Mrs. Jeepers said. Please line up and bring one of your cards. Most of the kids rushed to line up, but Eddie, Lisa, Melody, and Howie waited to be last. That was a dopey idea, Eddie told Lisa. You're just mad because you didn't get any Valentine cards made, Howie interrupted. Melody nodded. You were too busy bothering Carrie. And she's never going to forgive you, Liza added. Carrie has never been in trouble before. Well, I don't care about her or Valentine's, Eddie said, shaking his head as they headed for the lunchroom. But I do care about my empty stomach. I'm hungry. We always have the same old slop in the cafeteria. Maybe the new cook will be different, Liza said. Eddie shook his head. That just means we'll have new slop. Eddie, you should really give her a chance. She may be a really good cook, Melody said as they walked into the cafeteria. It'll be the first good cook Eddie said, but he stopped at the entrance of the cafeteria. What in the world happened? Howie asked. Chapter 2, Explosion. It looks like a card store exploded in here, Howie said, looking around the cafeteria. All sizes of red, pink, and white paper hearts were everywhere the kids looked. Hearts were plastered to the walls, hanging from the ceiling, and even stuck onto the garbage cans. Melody giggled. They must have had a 5-for-1 heart sale. 5 dumb decorations for the price of 1, Eddie said. This place looks stupid. I think it's pretty, Liza said. After all, Valentine's Day is less than a week away. Eddie rolled his eyes. Valentine's Day is for 3-year-olds who don't have anything better to do. Valentine's Day is for telling people you like them, Melody told him. Or that you love them, Liza giggled. That's disgusting, Eddie said. There's nothing disgusting about love, said a voice from beside them, but you'll find that out soon enough. Eddie looked up and gulped. In front of him was the biggest red dress he'd ever seen, and it was being worn by the biggest woman he'd ever seen. Almost everything about her was big and red, from her big, bright red lips to her fluffy, reddish blonde hair. Even the heart button on her apron and her dangling heart earrings were big and red. But when she grabbed Eddie's cheeks, he noticed that her fingernails were painted hot pink with little white arrows on them. You're just the cutest little thing, the woman said as she squeezed Eddie's cheeks. I just love your red hair. What a cutie pie. You must be Mrs. Rosenblum, the new cook, Liza said. Welcome to Bailey Elementary. Liza held out her Valentine to the big woman. Why, thank you, sugar. Mrs. Rosenblum smiled and gave Liza a bear hug. I just know I'm going to love it here. We hope so, Howie said politely. Did you do the decorating? Why, yes, Mrs. Rosenblum blushed. I just love Valentine's Day. But that's enough talking. Come eat. The 4 kids followed the rest of their class through the lunch line and picked up their trays. I've never seen so much red in my life, Eddie said. Everything on their lunch trays was red. There was heart-shaped meatloaf covered in ketchup and a tomato slice in a heart shape. Each tray had a slice of red apple with a heart-shaped blob of cherry jello. There were even red straws for the milk. I think this lady fell off the old holiday wagon before her brain was fully cooked, Eddie said when they sat down with their trays. She's gone all heart crazy. I think it's nice, Liza said. It sure beats the tuna surprise we usually have on Mondays. Baked bowling balls would beat that, Melody agreed after taking a bite out of Jell-O. This stuff may be red, but it's good. There's nothing good about overdosing on red, Eddie said. That new cook may need surgery to remove all these hearts, and I'm just the doctor to handle it. Who are you? Howie laughed. Dr. Love? Dr. Meany would be more like it, Liza said. Don't go bothering Mrs. Rosenblum. She's nice. Eddie smiled. Would I bother a sweet lady like her? His 3 friends all nodded their heads yes. Eddie had a reputation for causing mischief, but none of the 4 kids noticed Mrs. Rosenblum standing nearby. She was touching her heart button, and she was smiling. We will read the next few chapters tomorrow.